What does the hyperbaric do?
Yeah, there's oxygen through the skin.
It's actually inhaling it and some into the skin. Henry's law, it is a basic scientific law. Henry's law states that under pressure, more liquid will Henry's law states that more gas will go into liquid under pressure. That's Henry's law. And in a hyperbaric chamber, pressure is built up, and so the gas is oxygen, and we're pumping in pure oxygen.
Oh, it's not air, it's oxygen.
We're pumping in oxygen. You've got pressure, and oxygen's been pumped in, and the liquid, of course, is blood. Now, do you remember, I've done this a couple of times in the lectures, so I'll recap because I know that I'm guilty of information overload. There's the cell. Remember, the glucose goes in and there's a 20-step pathway, and this 20-step pathway gives us 2 units of energy, and the end result of that pathway is pyruvate, and pyruvate gets fed into the 8-step pathway, and the 8-step pathway gives us 36 units of energy. Now, every single cell in the body runs on energy. What makes the difference is oxygen. There's no oxygen up here. In fact, this pathway produces energy by the process of fermentation. This is where cancer cells run. So if you pump the body full of oxygen, you're actually forcing cancer cells to get down to there. And these cells, remember what they consume? 15 times the glucose, because this cell here is a very fast cell. This cell is a very slow cell, or pathway. That explains it. They developed hyperbaric chambers for divers. They've got the bends, because air is 21% oxygen and 79% nitrogen, with about a 0.3 of a carbon dioxide. And when they come up too quickly, the nitrogen can't all be released and it goes into little bubbles in the joints, and that's the bends. And when they go into a hyperbaric chamber, because they pump that oxygen in, basically the nitrogen just dissipates and is breathed out. And they discovered that wound healing, healing of any sort, increases when oxygen increases. So that's a... That's right. If you're going to go to all this effort, basically, if I had a friend and I lived here and I was a housewife or I worked, and I had a friend that had cancer and I'd heard about this, and I'd get a couple of friends together and say, I think we can do this. So we'll say to our friend, we're willing to go to all this effort to do these treatments on you, but you've got to play your part. And if the lady says, oh no, I like my sugar, I'd say, okay. That's it. It's a choice. But if you've got a friend who's, she said, I'm going to do this, the effort she puts in, encourages you to put this effort in. Not necessarily. You could do it the day after she started. This gives a mighty boost to the healing in the body. It can actually tip the scales. I think I told you about the man who owned the strawberry farm, prostate cancer. He was there for 2 weeks. His wife and daughter were gung-ho and he was just all right. Well, we did 5 of these. 1 week, 5 the next week. They didn't do it when they go home because it's not an easy treatment to do, as you can see. But the 2 weeks at our health retreat gave it a mighty kick start, and then he continued all the other bits and pieces. So it's not that you do it every day. Dr. Tullio Simoncini wrote the book Cancer is a Fungus, and he injects the sodium bicarb straight in. Well, we can't do that, and we don't do that, but we can do this. So it's part of the treatment, yeah?
What if they were using chemotherapy?
If they were using chemotherapy, it would almost be a waste to do this. It's like cutting the skin. I'm just keep putting a Band-Aid on, cutting it. You wait till they're finished, and if they... Ideally they don't, but I understand when some people choose to. But basically you want that gone, and then you want everything else in place, and then this can be an additive, yeah?